Hello, I'm back again with the Dr. Seuss book. It's kind of dark outside, had a little bit of storms rolling through, so I figured maybe Dr. Seuss sleep book will do. For Marie and Bert Hupp. The news just came in from the county of Keck that a very small bug by the name of Van Vleck is yawning so wide you can look down his neck. He may not seem very important, I know, but it is, so I'm bothering telling you so. A yawn is quite catching, you see, like a cough. It takes one yawn to start others' yawns off. Now the news has come in that some friends of Van Vleck's are yawning so wide you can look down their necks. At this moment right now, under 7 more noses, great yawns are in blossom. They're blooming like roses. The yawn of that one little bug is still spreading. According to latest reports, it is heading across the wide fields through the sleepy night air, across the whole country, toward every which where. And people are gradually starting to say, I feel rather drowsy. I had quite a day. Creatures are starting to think about rest. 2 biffer-bomb birds are now building their nests. They do it each night, and quite often I wonder how they do this big job without making a blunder. But that is their problem, not yours, and not mine. The point is they're going to bed, and that's fine. Sleep thoughts are spreading throughout the whole land. The time for night brushing of teeth is at hand. Up at Herkimer Falls, where the great river rushes and crashes down crags in great giggling gushes, the Herkimer sisters are using their brushes. Those falls are just grand for toothbrushing beneath, if you happen to be up that way with your teeth. The news just came in from Castle of Krupp that the lights are all out and the drawbridge is up. And the old drawbridge drawer just said with a yawn, the drawbridge is drawn and it's going to stay drawn till the milkman delivers the milk about dawn. I'm going to bed now. Nobody better come round with a special delivery letter. Yawning. Oh, goodness. The number of sleepers is steadily growing. Bed is where more and more people are going. It's Culpeper Springs and the Siltwalkers' Hall. And the Stiltwalker ships are all stacked on the wall. The Stiltwalker walkers have called it a day, and they all tuckered out and they're snoozing away. This is very big news. It's important to know, and that's why I'm bothering telling you so. Way out in the west, in the town of Merced, the Hincklemere Horn Honking Club just went to bed. Every horn has been quietly hung on a hook, for the night its own private Hinklehorn nook. At this long happy day there's been honking about, and the Hinklehorn honkers have honked themselves out. But they'll wake up quite fresh in the morning, and then they'll start night right in Hinklehorn honking again. Look at those horns. Wow. Everywhere creatures are falling asleep. The collapsible frink just collapsed in a heap. And by adding the frink to the others before, I'm able to give you who's apple sleep score. Right now, 40,404 creatures are happily, deeply in slumber. I think you'll agree. That's a whopping fine number. Counting up sleepers, just how do we do it? Really quite simple. There's nothing much to it. To find out how many, we learn them out by an audio-teleo count. On a mountain halfway between Reno and Rome, we have a machine and a plexiglass dome, which listens and looks into everyone's home. And whenever it sees a new sleeper go flop, it jiggles and lets a new beagle ball hop drop. Our chap counts those balls as they plump in a cup, and that's how we know who's down and who's up. Wow, it's pretty complex. Do you talk in your sleep? It's a wonderful sport. And I have some news of this sport to report. The world champion sleep talkers Joe and Mo Red Soft have just gone to sleep and are talking their heads off. For 45 years now, each chatter brother has babbled and gabbled all night to the other. They talked about laws, they've talked about gauze. They talked about paws and they talked about flaws. They talked quite a lot about old Santa Claus. And the reason I'm telling you this is because you should take up this sport. It's just fine for the jaws. Do you walk in your sleep? I just had a report of some entering news of the popular sport. Near Fitting and Fen, there's a sleeping walk group, which not only walks, but it walks a la hoop. Every night they go miles. Why they walk to such length? They have to keep eating to keep up their strength. So every so often one puts down his hoop, stops hooping and does some quick snooping for soup. That's why they're known as a Hoop Soup Snoop Group. Hoop Snoop Group, Snoop Group. That's a hard one. Sleepwalking, too, are the curious Crandalls who sleepwalk on hills with assorted-sized candles. The Crandalls walk nightly in slumbering peace, in spite of slight burns from the hot dripping grease. The Crandalls wear candles because they walk far, and if they wake up, they want to see where they are. Makes sense. Now the news has arrived from the Valley of Vale that a Chippendale mupp has just bitten his tail, which he does every night just before shutting his eyes. Such nipping sounds silly, but really it's wise. He has no alarm clock, so this is the way. He makes sure that he'll wake at the right time of day. His tail is so long he wouldn't feel any pain till the nip makes his trip and gets up into his brain. In exactly 8 hours, the Chippendale mupp will at least feel the bite and yell, "Ouch! Wake up!" Ooh. A Mr. and Mrs. Carmichael Crocs have you just gone to bed near the town of Fort Knox. And they, by the way, have the finest of clocks. I'm not all sure I quite understand just how the thing works with one extra hand. But I do know that this clock does one very slick trick. It doesn't tick-tock, it goes tock-tick. So when it ticks in its talker and tocks in its ticker, it saves a lot of time. The sleepers sleep quicker. Oh, it's kind of cool. What a fine night for sleeping, from all that I hear. It's the best night for sleeping in a many a year. And it's even asleep in the Zweibeck Motel. And people don't usually sleep there too well. The beds are like rocks, and everyone knows the sheets are too short. They don't cover your toes. So, if people are exactly sleeping in three there, it's a great night for sleeping. It must be the air. It's a great night for snores. I just had a report of some boys who are in the tops of the musical sport. The snortiest snorers in all of fair land are Snorter McPhail and his snort band. The band can snort Dixie in the Swanee River, so loud it would make 40 elephants shiver. The loudest of all is the boys' McPhail. He snores with his head in a 3-gallon pail. So they snore in a cave 20 miles out of town. If they snored closer, it would snore the whole town down. Whoa. Do you know who's asleep out in Funa Lagoon? 2 very nice Funa Lagoon baboon. Yes, added them into our who's asleep count, which has grown to a really amazing amount. Exactly 8,808 creatures are sleeping now. Isn't that great? A Jed is in bed, and the bed of a Jed is the softest of beds in the world, it is said. It makes from pom-poms he grows on his head, and he's sleeping right now on the softest of fluff, completely exhausted from the growing stuff. The news come in from district of Doft. The 2 oft are asleep, and they're sleeping aloft. And how they're able to sleep off the ground, I tell you, I weighed one last week, and I found that an off is so light he weighs -1 pound. Wow, so not much for the big guys, huh? A moose is asleep, he's dreaming of moose drinks. A goose is asleep, he's dreaming of goose drinks. That's well and good when a moose dreams of moose juice. Another goes wrong when a goose dreams of goose juice. But is it too good when a moose and a goose start dreaming they're drinking the other one's juice? Moose juice, not goose juice, is juice for a moose. The goose juice, not moose juice, is juice for a goose. So when goose gets a mouthful of juices of moose, and moose gets a mouthful of juices of goose, they always fall out of their bed screaming screams. So, I'm warning you now, never drink in your dreams. Speaking of dreaming, I think you should note that the Bubble Tub Club is now dreaming afloat. Every night they go dreaming down Bubble Tub Creek, except for one night every 3rd or 4th week, when they stop for repairs because their bubble tubs leak. But tonight they're afloat, full of dreams, full of bliss, and that's why I'm bothering telling you this. At the fork of a road is the Vale of Van Vode. 5-foot weary salesmen have laid down their load. All day they've raced around in the heat at top speeds, unsuccessfully trying to sell scissors of seeds, which nobody wants because nobody needs. Tomorrow will come, and they'll go back to their chore. We'll start on the road, scissors offering once more. But tonight they've forgotten their feet are so sore, and that's what the wonderful nighttime is for. You can rest, huh? Go to sleep. You get kind of tired. Yeesh. Everywhere creatures have shut off their voices. They're all gone to bed in the beds of their choices. They're sleeping in bushes. They're sleeping in crannies. Some are on their stomachs and some on their fannies. They're peacefully sleeping in comfortable holes, some even on soft, tufted barbershop poles. And some of the sleepers is now past the millions. The number of sleepers is now in the billions. They're sleeping on steps and on strings and on floats, in mailboxes, ships, and keyholes of doors. Every worm on a fishhook is safe for the night. Every fish in the sea is too sleepy to bite. Every whale in the ocean has turned off his spout. Every light between here and Foodle is out. And now, adding things up, we are beyond billions. Our who's asleep score is now up in the zillions. Wow, look at that. Crazy. 99 zillion, 90 trillion and 2. Creatures are sleeping, so how about you? When you put out your light, when the number will be 99 million, 9 trillion and 3. Good night.